everyone, I'm Michelle, CMO at Skai, and I'm here for Retail Media Thursdays in London with Lauren from the Digital Shelf Institute. Lauren, welcome to London.
Hi Michelle, thanks for having me.
Do you want to introduce yourself for anyone that isn't familiar with you and who you work for, what you do?
Sure, yeah. So Lauren Livak Gilbert, I lead the Digital Shelf Institute. So it's a community of digital leaders across the entire industry. So brands, retailers, thought leaders, bringing everyone together to deal with this crazy world of commerce that we live in.
And you do a great job in that
Thank
space.
you,
I
thank
absolutely
you.
love your content and your events.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Ditto, it's an honor to be a part of the Pub podcast. I mean,
Well, speaking of the pub, which one are we in and why did we choose it?
well, we're in Vaulty Towers, and you chose it, which is amazing because I don't know London, but it is the coolest bar that I have been in. It's kind of like a fairy tale storyland, and there's a pub, so I love having a bar pub, so it's amazing.
Yeah, I've never actually been here, and I come through Waterloo every single day, and it's 2 minutes from the station. It is incredible. I could spend hours in here just looking around at all the stuff on the walls and the ceiling, and
We should do a podcast on the bar.
Yeah, I highly recommend for anyone to just visit this place. It's awesome.
Yes.
And what's been the peak of your week, either personally or professionally?
Just being here in London, I mean, I love the community of commerce and retail media in London, and I don't get to come all the time. So I've had lunch with a bunch of people, I've seen a bunch of people, and it's just a smaller community of people in our industry. So for me, it's just been talking to people, meeting people, seeing you, being here. That's been the peak of my week so far.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like we all kind of know each other. It's
Yes.
incestuous.
It's small but big.
Yeah, it's great, the community in London. So coming on to the retail media questions, you've recently released some research, reinventing the organization
Reinventing
from
the
Omnichannel.
Yeah, you got it. Basically,
There's a lot of
structures.
words to remember there. So for anyone who hasn't seen that yet, I know you're launching it or talking about it at your event this week. What are some of the highlights? What are some of the key findings? Was there anything that surprised you in that?
Yeah, I mean, I set out to talk about org structure because I think it's a popular question, whether you're talking about retail media teams or e-commerce teams. It's really hard for brands. And going into it, I was like, okay, I'm going to make some recommendations around, hey, it should sit here, it should sit here, here's some pros and cons. But what I came out of it with was just that we need to rethink how we work. We need to start asking different questions. So I think the surprise for me is I went in thinking, hey, you should be asking where should e-commerce sit in your organization? And I came out saying, you need to ask, how am I changing the way I work to match the consumer of today? And that's a big question. It's a different question. And it's a reframe about how you think about your cross-functional teams, your processes, your technology, how you work together. And so that's really kind of what the report talks about. And instead of saying, hey, here's an org structure that is perfect for you, because nobody can really do that. It says, here's the mindset shifts and the actions that you need to take no matter your level of maturity and where you are, and just helps you kind of reframe what that looks like.
And it's those mindset shifts that are often the hardest thing to do because it's cultural, it's change management, it's not just putting a process in place, it's managing the people around it and getting them to buy into that.
Exactly. I call it, you don't have a lines and boxes problem, you have a how problem, because the how is the hard part. I can give you the framework, but how you actually implement it is what makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you, in your report, do you give any recommendations about how leaders should approach this and start thinking about not where e-commerce should sit or retail media should sit, but how to kind of center yourself around the consumer? How are you thinking about that? Like, what recommendations do you give?
So there's 11 in the report. We're not going to talk about all of them, and I encourage everyone to read it because it's helpful to kind of think through. But the number one for me is shared goals. So let's take retail media, for example, right? You're running an ad on Kroger or Walmart or Amazon or wherever, and you don't talk to your digital shelf team. So your PDP doesn't have an optimized image, you don't have enhanced content, it's not completely built out. That's a wasted ad dollar, right? Because you're directing it to a PDP that's not actually engaging and doesn't convert. If you had shared goals in place that says, hey, retail media team and hey, digital shelf e-commerce team, you're all marching towards one sales goal and you're all trying to make sure that you're achieving it as a business, that helps you all work together. But right now, organizations work in silos. So the retail media team has a specific metric that they have to go towards, then the e-commerce team does, then sales or marketing or R&D. So they're functionally siloed and they're actually like pitted against each other. So how can you bring all of that together and have a shared goal that makes sure you're marching towards the same North Star? And in the research report, we saw that those that had shared goals had a higher percentage of e-commerce sales. So it does correlate. If you're working together towards the same thing, then you achieve your goals.
Did you have any examples of kind of best practices of companies that have done it well? Like
Yeah, there's actually a framework in there that lays out what shared goals looks like. But what I would say just in general is not having 10. You need to just pick 2 or 3. These are the main goals, whether it's net sales, whether it's percent of e-commerce revenue. I've seen it kind of across the board, but just say, hey, this is what we're trying to march towards, and here's how you function fit into this broader picture. I think that's also the challenge. Yeah. You talked about change management. We're all human, right? We want to know, what is our part in this? Like, what value are we driving? How can we impact the bigger picture? So educating each function, whether it's R&D or legal or supply chain, how they fit into the broader mix, helps everybody be like, okay, I have a stake in this. Like, I'm ready to help you. We're all going to achieve this moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You said we're all human, but obviously there is the advent
Nice
of AI now. We didn't plan that.
No.
There's obviously the rise of AI and how that's impacting teams. Did the report surface anything in that vein?
Yes, that's one of the other mindset shifts, figuring out how you can free up time with AI to focus on more strategic work. So I use the example of like retail media planning. How can you have AI do some data and analytics analysis to say, hey, this is where we should be spending our time, or automated bidding or content creation? Because your teams aren't going to get significantly bigger, right? We all on the brand side don't have the budget to add 15 more people, or on the agency side to add 15 more people, right? So you need to optimize what you're doing now with what you have. And I think that's where AI comes into play, right? How can you get people out of the hands-on keyboard work and open up more strategic thinking? So it's about reframing AI isn't going to take my job. Like, I feel like that's still a fear and a concern. Yeah. It's more, it's going to supercharge me and enable me to do more. And that's really where the research kind of came in. And I actually build out a model that says, hey, here's what an organization with AI agents looks like. And that's actually happening today at a lot of organizations. So I know some brands have a brand strategist, and then they have 5 or 6 agents that are helping them, whether it's creating content, doing virtual like user groups to say, hey, how are people reacting to this? Briefing, retail media planning, all of that. They have agents who are supporting them. Yeah. So AI really can unlock so much for people right now and give us the superpower and the supercharge to do more, which we've never been able to do in the past. So it's exciting, but you still need to figure out how you're working so that you can actually plug it into place. Yeah. And that means knowing where your data is, knowing who owns what piece of the puzzle, where they fit into the broader consumer journey. So all those fundamentals still matter, but if you can plug in AI, you can do so much more.
Yeah, we have to learn how to work with it better, and I think it is a change. Like, it is different, especially these agents, as we're starting to learn how to prompt and how to get the best out of them. I saw a great example yesterday, actually. One of our clients was showing us that they've been using Celeste, which is our genAI agent, to understand the lift from Amazon DSP campaigns on sponsored products. And it's a project that, like they were saying, a data scientist would normally have to kind of help them with. It wasn't there the way that they needed it. And Celeste was doing it in seconds, and they had the data scientist do it too, and it was coming up with similar results, but just taking like 3 weeks difference. And
it removes the barriers.
Yeah.
It removes so many barriers for you to do more.
So much more efficient, just so much quicker, like for agencies being able to report back to their brands. It's definitely going to be a game changer. And it already is.
It already is. But one thing I would say is I feel like there's a lot of fear and tension around agentic commerce in general, but it doesn't mean that all those other ways of shopping go away, right? Like, think about in-store. When the digital shelf came about, people still buy in-store. Yeah. When agentic commerce comes out, people are still going to buy in-store and online. It doesn't mean everyone's moving that way, but it means that brands need to adapt. They need to optimize for AEO. They need to answer engine optimization. I try not to use acronyms without explaining them. They also have to think about like how their retail media ads are driving to each of those experiences that they have. So it's now just an added element, but it doesn't take away from all the work that they've already been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Things aren't going to change overnight. There's still a generation, the oldies like my mum and dad, who have no idea what ChatGPT is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Exactly. I said that once to my parents, and they were like, "Excuse me?"
What?
And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it."
So you touched on earlier those 11 organizational shifts. We talked around the shared goals. What else have you recommended? Like, what's another interesting one that people might care about?
Yeah, I would say two that come to mind. One that was very surprising was about talent. So I'm going to go back to people for a little bit. I think it's really important to think about career planning and how you're planning for the leaders of the future. So when you think about retail media, for example, it's changed so much in the past, year, let alone 5 years. Are you making sure that you're training your next future leaders, whether they're in supply chain or marketing or sales, on what that means for the broader impact of commerce? I think we really need to think about talent holistically, because those of us that work in the digital space, we know it, right? We understand it, we're educating people on it, but the rest of the organization might not, because they were built for in-store shopping, right? So what is your plan as an organization to say, hey, how am I educating the broader teams? A lot of brands, what they've been doing is taking people from their retail media and e-commerce teams and actually moving them intentionally into other functions. Because kind of through osmosis, you're taking that knowledge and pushing it into the rest in the broader organization. So you're actually educating through your people. So just thinking about career planning, how you're incorporating that, how you're training people is just really, really strong. I would say that was one thing that came out. And then going to your customer, as in your retailer, as one company.
Yeah.
So when you think about e-commerce and retail media, a lot of brands have separate conversations with their retailer, right?
Yeah. One team doing the JBPs, the other media team talking to the publishers.
Exactly. And the retailers are confused because they don't know who to talk to and they don't know what the full conversation is. And the brand, you might be promising things in the right hand that you don't know on the left hand. And then when you look at it holistically, you're like, we shouldn't be spending that. Exactly. Oops. Exactly. So actually presenting to your retailer as one brand and being very clear, like, here are the stakeholders, here's what they own, here's who you can ask questions to, here's how we're thinking about our broader strategy. And it can then happen in separate conversations, but you need to holistically approach them as one brand and share your insights and your data and your category information. That takes a lot of collaboration internally, right? Who is it that needs to be involved in those? Who are your cross-functional partners? How are we working together? How often are we preparing before JBP? So it's a lot of that kind of collaboration where you have the pieces, you just need them all to kind of come together.
Yeah, we hosted an event last week in New York, as you know, the Women in Retail Media Network, but one of the things we said was, if there was a genie and there was a magic wand, what would be one thing you could change? And it was like, just get everybody to understand this quickly internally. And I think everybody was agreed that it's one of the biggest barriers still to this change management and where these companies need to get to.
Yes, I was on the brand side years ago, and I feel like I'm still sometimes having the same conversations, right? Because it takes a long time to move like a big cruise ship, like a large organization, to switch course, right? So, but how do you do that faster? Because I think we're at an inflection point where you don't have time to like sit around and not educate, right? You have to be able to pivot quickly in order to make sure that you're ready for this kind of next agentic commerce stage. And brands need to change how they work in order to do that.
Cool. Well, we're getting close to 2026. We've covered a lot of themes here. What are your predictions? What do you think will change? What do you think should stay in 2025? What are we gonna take into 2026?
Well, first, I can't believe it's almost the
right?
holidays. I'm very not ready for that. But I would say I'm really watching a lot of the news around agentic commerce and what that looks like, right? Like yesterday, Walmart and OpenAI, Etsy and Shopify a couple weeks ago. what are those partnerships and how are they going to come about? But most specifically, I'm interested to see how ads come into play, right? Like, are there going to be ads in your
OpenAI,
instant checkout? Like, how is that experience going to work? And also, how are brands going to keep up with the changes in content that they need to be able to do to be surfaced in ChatGPT? So that's one thing I'm watching. And then I'm really interested to see what it means to be a brand next year and in the years to come. I think that's going to be redefined as there's fewer and fewer options as you're thinking about discovery. People want less options. There's way more channels and ways of shopping. I think the definition of being a brand is going to change significantly. So I'm excited to watch that.
Cool. Well, that's the end of the retail media questions. But
Okay. Ooh.
if you've watched a Retail Media
Yes,
Thursday,
I'm ready.
You know I'm pretty cruel with my questions. No, I'm not. So one of the things I usually do with Americans is when you're in London, see how many British terms you know.
Gosh,
like
probably none.
how many British phrases.
Okay.
How au fait you are with the lingo.
Okay.
So, lorry.
I like nothing. I don't think I've ever even heard that before.
It's a truck, is what you guys will call it. We call it a lorry.
A lorry. Okay, all right. I'm going to start using these now in
Yeah.
my lingo.
The boot.
The boot. Like you're kicking someone out of something? Like
That,
you got the boot?
that is true, but there's
Okay.
another, like what if we were putting something in the boot?
Putting something in the boot. The trash?
The trunk of your
Oh.
car.
Oh, okay. I feel like I should have known that. All right.
Chuffed.
Chuffed?
I'm chuffed.
You're tired?
No, yeah, like happy.
Oh gosh. Jeez. I've never even heard that one.
A rubber.
A rubber. A tire?
No, it's an eraser.
Oh, okay. All right.
And fancy.
Like you like it. You fancy something.
That is one phrase for
Okay.
it, but like if something
Use it
is,
in a sentence.
oh, that's fancy.
Like that's like chic? Like
Yeah, it's
okay.
like posh. It's
Okay,
kinda
all right.
cool.
Yeah, okay. I got that one.
I'm gonna do one more, even
Okay.
though it's normally throw a wobbly.
Throw a wobbly. Like you're throwing a party or something? Like
It's like throw a tantrum.
oh, okay.
can't get
Wow, I
mad about
clearly am
something.
awful at this. But I love all of your terms because everything seems so much more proper when you say it with that lingo than when we say it when we're American.
I
love
never
it.
even think about it until someone on my team says to me, what does that mean? Or someone's like, to phrase Michelle, you're doing my head in.
I love it. I'm going to start incorporating these into my vocabulary. That's great.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out while you're here to come and see us. It's been great to chat about all things retail media. I encourage everybody to read the report.
Thank you. Yes.
Of which name I'm not going to try and say again because there's too many words.
No worries. Just think organizational structures, reinventing omnichannel orgs, and I will throw the link so
Yeah,
people can
we'll
download
put
it.
it in as well. Thank
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. This is so much fun.